Formula One breaking news. Major escalation at Mercedes. Formula One is again in the news. Did you hear about the latest major escalation? If not, don't worry. Today, we're going to discuss everything that you need to know about it. Hello, friends, and welcome back to Formula One News. Today, we are going to discuss how the poor performance characterizes not just Lewis Hamilton, but the whole Mercedes team and what different team members have to say about it. Stay with the video till the end to know everything about it. On Friday, Mercedes was eliminated from the final round of Formula One qualifying for the first time since 2012, and seven-time world champion Lewis Hamilton credited the setback to a collective effort from the team. The statement was made by the Briton after qualifying in 13th position for Saturday's sprint race at the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix in the midst of a hectic session. He was referring to the fact that the team had failed today. George Russell, another member of their squad, qualified in 11th position, which is a little improvement. "There are things that we should have done that we didn't do," he added. "There are things that we shouldn't have done that we did. There are things that we could have done that we didn't do." Lewis Hamilton has stated that he is not going to make any judgments on the performance of Mercedes or any of their competitors after the first rest period for the 2022 Formula One season. This statement comes after Hamilton stated that he would not make any judgments on the performance of Mercedes after the first rest period. After completing the third day of practice in the first place, Hamilton said that during the first week, you never do know. At this moment, we have no idea where anybody is or what they're doing. Lewis Hamilton said that the 3 days with their new W13 chassis had not been without their fair share of problems, despite the fact that Mercedes closed the test with the fastest time overall and had done more laps than any other team other than Ferrari. The last few days have been filled with a variety of exciting events. As a result of the fact that this procedure has not been the easiest or the most flawless up to this point, we will be required to triumph over a few obstacles. "Of course, we'd always love some more laps, but today's performance was good enough for me," said the driver after the race. "I estimate that I accomplished something in the neighborhood of 100 circuits today, which is not too awful given that I only ran for the first part of the day. I'm a touch behind on the events that have taken place during the last 2 days. The car is considerably more difficult to drive compared to what it was in years past, and so are the tires, yet we are working our way through it." After the track had been sprayed with water in the morning, Lewis Hamilton got behind the wheel of the car in the afternoon to test out Pirelli's wet weather tires for the first time this season. The track had been drenched with water in the morning. After the surface of the racetrack had been allowed to dry off, he noted that the vehicle drove more smoothly. "It was a darn sight better than earlier on when it was rainy. It wasn't good to start the exercise with all that wet jogging. It was a darn sight better than earlier on when it was damp. It was a vast improvement over what had occurred previously. It's always to one's advantage to have a good feel for the different compositions, but it cannot be denied that the car felt much better after having replacement tires installed." After that, he continued by stating that every member of the team has done an exceptional job throughout the week. Everyone who works at the facility, whether they are men or women, has done an excellent job. The only thing that is left to do is download all of this material, work as swiftly as we can through it over the course of the next week, and we just keep putting one foot in front of the other. Hamilton said that Mercedes had arrived at the race with optimism and recognized the hard work that was being done back at the factory, but things just don't come together. Consequently, Mercedes did not finish in the top 3 positions. Following a practice session that was disrupted by rain, crashes, and red flags, he continued by saying, "We will fight as hard as we can and move up in the sprint race. It's going to be tough, but maybe the weather will improve, and we can do better." Toto Wolff, the team leader for Mercedes, said that the automobile, which has been suffering porpoising since the beginning of the season, was bouncing more forcefully than it ever has before when traveling at high speeds on the straight. After the one and only opportunity for free practice that the day had to provide, the Austrian told the other driver, "You can't drive, you have to lift on the straight. The car should not be driven while it is in this state, because I've never in my life experienced bouncing like this before, but it is evident that it should not be driven." Hamilton's now in the 5th position overall in the championship, 43 points behind Charles Leclerc, who is leading for Ferrari. Hamilton's fallen to 5th place overall. Even if Hamilton's hopes of winning an unprecedented 8th championship are dwindling with each new race, he's not completely abandoned the idea. Earlier on Friday, he had remarked, "There's still time for us to turn this around, still time for us to restore this vehicle and extract the maximum potential. And that is what I know the whole team is working so hard to do in order to accomplish." He has said before that there's still time for us to turn things around. There's still time for us to make the necessary repairs to this automobile and realize its full potential. Russell has also shared his thoughts on the competition that exists between teams from the state of Texas and teams from the state of Louisiana. This competition takes place in the southeastern United States. Hamilton's whole career has consisted of competitions against his teammate. He has never had to race against a competitor from another team. It all began during Fernando Alonso's tenure at McLaren, which ultimately resulted in the infamous battle between Nico Rosberg and his team at Mercedes. In spite of the fact that Hamilton had an outstanding track record when fighting against employees, he still had the upper hand over both of his competitors. The 7-time world champion does not support maintaining tournaments for athletes of younger ages. He feels that it's inappropriate for them to compete. Hamilton's of the opinion that healthy competition between teams, such as the kind that now exists between the Mercedes teams, is good for the sport as a whole. Working against a man who is on the other side from you is much different from collaborating with that individual while squaring off against the other group, he added. Working against the guy who's on the opposite side from you is pretty different. You're now in the middle of a severe battle due to the fact that the performance of Red Bull Racing is much greater than the rest of its peers. Working together with co-workers, as opposed to competing against them, is an experience that is far more advantageous. This leads him to the conclusion that you are required to compete against each other as a team, and that there must be a strong sense of loyalty between the teams in order for this to work. This is the direct result of what happened before. As a consequence of this, the individual races wind up being more interesting, which in turn makes the championship itself more attractive. On the other hand, taking into account the level of tension that already exists inside the group, how well does this hold up? Mercedes, do you believe that you'll be able to maintain your allegiance to your side, or do you believe there is a great deal more going on behind the scenes? Is the influence of the environment limited to having an effect on the team as a whole, or does it have an effect on the racer's ability to compete on an individual level as well? Hey, I think that's all for today's video. Please let us know in the comment box what you guys think about it. Are you huge fans of F1? Who's your favorite team? Let us know all about it. Do you think the Mercedes team will be able to finally get the porpoising taken care of once and for all and return to their former glory? Hey, also, if you like this video, make sure you hit the like button and share it with all your friends. And if you want to watch more videos like this, all you gotta do is subscribe to our channel, make sure you hit the bell icon, and get the notification of the latest videos. We update new stuff on here all the time, and it's all well worth checking out. Make sure you share any comments or questions you may have for us in the comment box, and we definitely keep an eye on those and check those out. Hey, until we meet again, have a great rest of your day, and thank you for watching.